I've decided to change the format of my videos. The first section will be the Bible reading, so that if that's all you want to hear, it comes first. The second will be my commentary about that reading. The third section will be my random views about random stuff, out there stuff, crazy granny stuff. Skip to whatever section interests you. Watch it all or just the parts. Your choice. Battletime with Granny will throw the algorithm, but let's live dangerously. Genesis 22 and 23. What would you do if you were asked to give up the thing you love most? Is there a limit to what we should sacrifice for those we love? Can letting go of something precious ever bring unexpected blessings? Are you ready to discover the powerful connections between some of the Bible's most dramatic moments and the real-life decisions we face every day? In Genesis 22, God tests Abraham's faith by commanding him to take his beloved son Isaac, whom he'd waited for many years, and offer him as a burnt offering on the mountain. Genesis 23 focuses on the death of Sarah, the wife of Abraham, and the acquisition of a burial site for her. While it may appear at first as a simple account of mourning and burial, the chapter holds deep importance for themes of promise, land ownership, and legacy in the story of Abraham and his descendants. Chapter 22 reading. Now it happened after these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. Then he said, Take now your son, your only one, whom you love, Isaac, and go forth to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I will tell you. So Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey and took 2 of his young men with him and Isaac, his son. And he split wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went to the place of which God had told him. On the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place from a distance. And Abraham said to his young man, Stay here with the donkey while I and the boy go over there, and we will worship, and we will return to you. Then Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and put it on Isaac his son. And he took in his hand the fire and the knife. So the 2 of them walked on together. Then Isaac spoke to Abraham his father and said, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. And he said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? And Abraham said, God will provide for himself the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. So the 2 of them walked on together. Then they came to the place of which God had told him. And Abraham built the altar there, and arranged the wood, and bound his son Isaac, and put him on the altar, and on top of the wood. And Abraham stretched out his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. And he said, Do not stretch out your hand against the boy, and do nothing to him. For now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only one, from me. Then Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, there was a ram, after it had been caught in the thicket by its horns. And Abraham went and took the ram, and offered it up for a burnt offering in the place of his son. And Abraham called the name of that place, The Lord Will Provide, as it is this day. In the mount of the Lord it will be provided. Then the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time from heaven, and said, By myself I have sworn, declares the Lord, because you have done this thing, and have not spared your son, your only one. Indeed, I will greatly bless you, And I will greatly multiply your seed as the stars of the heavens, and as the sand which is on the seashore. And your seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. In your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because you have listened to my voice. So Abraham returned to his young men, and they arose and walked together to Beersheba. And Abraham lived at Beersheba. Now it happened after these things that it was told to Abraham, saying, Behold, Milcah has also borne children to your brother Nahor, Uz his firstborn, and Buz his brother, and Kemuel of Aram, and Chest, and Hazo, and Pidash, and Jilpad, and Bethuel. And Bethuel was the father of Rebekah. These 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother, and his concubine, whose name was Reumah, also bore Debah, and Gaham, and Tahash, and Mecca. Chapter 23, Sarah's death and burial. And Sarah lived 127 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah. Sarah died in Hebron in the land of Canaan, and Abram came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Then Abram rose from before his death and spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, I am a sojourner and a foreign resident among you. Give me a possession for a burial site among you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the sons of Heth answered Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my lord, that you are a mighty prince among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial sites. None of us will refuse you his burial sites for burying your dead. So Abraham rose and bowed to the people of the land, the sons of Heth, and he spoke with them, saying, If it is your desire for me to bury my dead out of my sight, hear me, and meet with Ephron the son of Dohar for me, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which belongs to him, which is at the end of his field. For the full price, let him give it to me in your presence as a possession, for a burial site. Now Ephron was sitting among the sons of Heth, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the sons of Heth, even of all who went in at the gate of his city, saying, No, my lord, hear me. I give you the field, and I give you the cave that is in it. In the sight of the sons of my people I give it to you. Bury your dead. And Abraham bowed before the people of the land. And he spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, If you will only please hear me, I will give the silver from the field, accept it from me, that I may bury my dead there. Then Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, My lord, hear me, a piece of land worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between me and you? So bury your dead. So Abraham heard Ephron, and Abraham weighed out for Ephron the silver which he had named in the hearing of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, commercial standard. So Ephron's field, which was in Machpelah, which faced Mamre, the field and the cave which was in it, and all the trees which were in the field that were within all the confines of its border, were deeded over to Abraham as purchased in the sight of the sons of Heth, before all who came in at the gate of his city. After this, Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of the field at Machpelah, facing Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. So the field and the cave that is in it were deeded over to Abraham for a possession for a burial site by the sons of Heth. That's the end of the reading. Now we'll go to section 2. These are my thoughts, my interpretation. The chapter opens with God calling to Abraham and instructing him to take Isaac, his only son whom you love, to a mountain in the region of Moriah and sacrifice him there. Abraham responds with remarkable obedience. He rises early, prepares the necessary wood and supplies, and sets out with Isaac and 2 servants. On the 3rd day, Abraham sees the destination from afar. He instructs his servants to stay behind, telling them, We will worship, and then we will come back to you, hinting at his faith that both he and Isaac would return. As father and son ascend the mountain, Isaac notices they have fire and wood, but no lamb for the offering. Abraham replies, God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. Upon reaching the appointed time, Abraham builds an altar, arranges the wood, and binds Isaac, and lays him upon the altar. As he takes the knife to slay his son, the angel of the Lord calls out, stopping him. Abraham's faith is commended, and a ram caught in a thicket is provided as a substitute for Isaac. Abraham sacrifices the ram instead, naming the place, "The Lord will provide." The angel of the Lord reaffirms God's promises to Abraham. His descendants will be as numerous as the stars, and through his offspring all nations on earth will be blessed. Because you have obeyed me. The chapter ends with Isaac and Abraham returning together. Christians have long seen Genesis 22 as a profound foreshadowing of the crucifixion of Jesus. The parallels are striking and meaningful. 1. A father's sacrifice of his beloved son. Abraham is called to offer his only son whom you love. This echoes God the Father offering his only begotten son, Jesus. 2. Willingness and obedience. Isaac, though old enough to resist, submits to his father's will, just as Jesus willingly submits to his father's plan. 3. The location. Mount Moriah is traditionally associated with the site of the future temple in Jerusalem, near where Jesus would later be crucified. 4. The substitute. God provides a ram as a substitute for Isaac, symbolizing the sacrificial system that pointed forward to Jesus, the true Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. Jesus becomes the ultimate sacrifice, dying in place of humanity. 5. Resurrection motif. Hebrews 11:19 suggests Abraham reasoned that God would raise the dead, mirroring the resurrection of Jesus after his sacrificial death. 6. Blessing to all nations. God's promise that all nations will be blessed through Abraham's offspring finds fulfillment in Jesus, through whom salvation is offered to all people. Genesis 22 lays out a strong foundation of faith, obedience, and provision, deeply connected to the Christian understanding of Jesus' sacrificial death and resurrection. It prefigures the gospel message, God's love, the cost of sacrifice, and the provision of a substitute, culminating in a blessing for all nations through Christ. Genesis 22 can be interpreted in ways that resonate with modern experiences, especially around the themes of sacrifice, trust, and prioritizing the greater outcome, even if it means letting go of something deeply cherished. At its core, it is about Abraham being asked to give up what he loves most, his son Isaac. Today, people often face moments where they must make difficult choices for the well-being of their families. This could mean giving up a personal dream, a career opportunity, or a cherished possession to support a spouse or child. For example, a parent might forego a promotion requiring relocation so that their children can stay in a stable environment. The emotional struggle Abraham experiences mirrors the pain many feel when sacrificing something important for the sake of loved ones. Abraham's journey up to the mountain is marked by uncertainty. He does not know how things will end, but trusts that God will provide. Modern sacrifices for the family often involve stepping into the unknown, trusting that your choice will ultimately benefit the family, even if the outcome isn't guaranteed. This could relate to investing time and resources in a child's education or moving to a better place for better opportunities, trusting that the temporary loss will lead to a greater good. The story also highlights the tension between personal desires and the collective good. Abraham's love for Isaac is immense, but he is willing to put the perceived needs of the family and God's command above his own wishes. This can be seen in situations where someone gives up a personal hobby, a leisure, or even health comforts to care for an ill relative or support a partner through a difficult time. Genesis 22 ends with God providing a ram, symbolizing hope and unforeseen solutions. When we sacrifice for our family, there's often a hope or faith that new possibilities will arise and that what is lost or given up will be replaced with something more meaningful, whether in relationships, personal growth, or future opportunities. Finally, the story invites reflection on the limits and ethics of sacrifice. How far should we go for family? Is every sacrifice justified? Abraham's story is extreme, but it prompts us to consider what is healthy or right to give up for others, and when to trust that our sacrifices serve a higher purpose. Genesis 22, while ancient, remains relevant by showing the emotional and ethical complexities of sacrificing for family in the hope that such sacrifices are not in vain. It encourages us to reflect on how we balance love, responsibility, and faith in the choices we make for those we care for most. Chapter 23 begins with the announcement of Sarah's death at the age of 127 in Hebron in the land of Canaan. Abraham, deeply grieved by the loss of his beloved wife, mourns and weeps for her. After this period of mourning, Abraham rises to address the practical necessity of securing a burial site for Sarah. As a foreigner and stranger in Canaan, he does not own any land and must negotiate with the local inhabitants, the Hittites, to obtain a suitable site. Abraham approaches the Hittites respectfully, acknowledging his status as an outsider. He requests that the right to purchase a burial site among them. The Hittites respond with great respect, calling Abraham a mighty prince among us, and offering him his choice of their tombs. However, Abraham insists on purchasing the property rather than accepting it as a gift, seeking a permanent and undisputed claim to the land. This insistence reflects both humility and prudence, as accepting a gift might mean the land could be reclaimed or disputed later. The negotiation centers on a field owned by Ephron, son of Zohar, which contains the cave of Machpelah, and Abraham specifically asks to purchase this cave at the end of Ephron's field for the full price. Ephron, in the custom of polite bargaining, initially offers to give the field and cave to Abraham in the presence of the people. Abraham, however, persists in his desire to pay, and Ephron finally names a price, 400 shekels of silver. Without haggling, Abraham weighs out the silver according to the standard of the merchants, ensuring the transaction is public, witnessed, and legally binding. The chapter ends with Abraham being granted full possession of the field and the cave as a burial site. Abraham buries Sarah there, emphasizing that the transaction was recognized by the Hittites and took place in their presence. This detail establishes Abraham's first legally owned piece of land in Canaan, the land promised by God to his descendants. Genesis 23 is not only a record of Sarah's death and burial, but also a foundational moment in the fulfillment of God's promises to Abraham. The acquisition of the cave is the first tangible step toward the eventual possession of the promised land by Abraham's descendants. It also becomes a family tomb where Abraham, Isaac, Rebekah, Jacob, and Leah would later be buried, linking the family to the land in a lasting way. Both chapters involve navigating overwhelming emotions, grief, fear, uncertainty, handling complex social interactions, and making decisions under pressure. Abraham's clear, step-by-step approach, preparing for the journey, communicating directly with others, and insisting on clear agreements models the value of structural routines and explicit communication. His openness about his needs, requesting a burial site, and his insistence on fairness and transparency in negotiation with the Hittites show the importance of advocating for oneself and seeking clarity in social exchanges. Facing change and loss, as Abraham does, also demonstrates emotional resilience and the benefit of seeking practical solutions, finding a burial place, rather than avoiding difficult circumstances. These stories encourage embracing routines, clear communication, self-advocacy, and practical problem solving, all of which can help us navigate life's challenges with more confidence and less anxiety. At first glance, this is an account of Sarah's death and Abraham's purchase of a burial site. However, when you read it through a Christian lens and in connection with New Testament teachings about Jesus, it acquires a deeper symbolic significance. Here's how Genesis 23 can be related to both God's sacrifice of Jesus and Jesus' promise to prepare a place for believers. Preparation of a place. Abraham, Sarah, and Jesus' promise. Abraham ensures that Sarah has a proper, permanent resting place in the promised land by purchasing the cave. This is more than a gesture of love and respect. It's an act of faith that his family belongs in the land God promised. The cave becomes an ancestral tomb for Abraham and his descendants, a place of belonging and a symbol of the family's hope in God's promise. Jesus tells his disciples, "In my Father's house are many rooms. I am going there to prepare a place for you." Just as Abraham prepares a permanent place for Sarah and later for his family, Jesus promises to prepare an eternal place for his followers in God's presence. Both actions express love, provision, and the hope of reunion and belonging after death. The cost of securing a place, sacrifice, and redemption. Abraham insists on paying the full price for the burial ground, refusing to take it as a gift. This costly purchase ensures the legitimacy and permanence of the family's inheritance in the land. The transaction is public, witnessed, and complete. There is a real cost involved in securing a place for his family. This can be seen as a foreshadowing of the price God paid through the sacrifice of Jesus. As far as I know, Christianity is the only faith that believes that humanity cannot earn or inherit a place with God for free. The cost of sin must be paid. God in love pays that price through Jesus' sacrificial death on the cross, securing an eternal place for believers. The legitimacy and permanence of our place with God is guaranteed not by our own efforts, but by the costly, public, and complete sacrifice of Christ. Death, hope, and the promised land. Sarah's burial in the promised land in a tomb purchased at great cost is an act of hope in God's promise that Abraham's descendants will inherit that land. The tomb becomes a sign that even in death, God's promises endure and his people have a place. The death of Jesus, from the Christian perspective, not the end, but the means by which the faithful are given hope of resurrection and a home with God. Jesus' promise to prepare a place is rooted in his own death and resurrection, the ultimate act of hope and fulfillment of God's promise. Genesis 23 and the New Testament together highlight that securing a place for God's people comes at a great cost, lovingly and intentionally paid. Abraham's purchase of a tomb points forward to Jesus' sacrifice. And just as Abraham made a place for his family in the promised land, Jesus promises an eternal home for all who trust in him. That's all it costs. Just trust, belief. Pretty cheap, but ultimately a huge sacrifice. These speak of love that prepares, pays the price, and gives hope beyond the grave. If God tested your faith today, what would it look like? What would you be willing to give up? What precious thing is more precious than Isaac was to Abraham? Okay, now we're going to go into section 3. This is called Battletime with Granny. I've changed the format of my videos. The first section will be the Bible reading. So if that's all you want, it comes first. The second section will be my commentary about that reading. The third section will be my random views about random stuff, out there stuff, crazy granny stuff. Skip to whatever section interests you. Watch it all or just parts. Your choice. Battletime with Granny will throw the algorithm, but let's live dangerously. Here we go. Battle time today is AI. We all know AI is everywhere now. Everything you try to do, AI butts in. Most of the time it just pops up without asking, interrupting whatever I'm trying to do on my phone, on my laptop, on my computer, sometimes in my car. Almost every app, webpage, social media, YouTube, everywhere. Sure, it seems like it's a help or convenience, but really, it's like having someone standing over your shoulder telling you to click on this or ask what you're looking for. Here, let me tell you how to do this or that. Very annoying to me. Not only annoying, but it feels very controlling. If I wanted a super controlling husband, I could have one. In fact, it is similar. It started out being helpful. It paid attention to what I liked and didn't like. It tracked what I was interested in, then served me sites and advertising that I might go to. As a trucker, it was nice when I was in a certain town. It gave the location and phone number and address of the nearest truck stop, Pizza Hut, or repair shop. But just like a controlling spouse, it didn't end with the helpfulness. Now it only serves you what it wants you to see, whether it's the companies that paid so that they get first results or the social media posts they only want you to see. Only allowing certain people or certain companies to succeed. We all know this, and pretty much we've allowed this to happen because, it was easier. The problem is, now they know everything about you. Oh yeah, everything. Way more than you realize. They know your habits, your preferences, your time schedules, and the scary thing, they know how you think. Your deepest secrets are not protected in your brain like you think it is. It's like you've been in therapy for the last 10 years. They were paying attention to everything you've done, everything you've said. Only this therapist isn't interested in helping you. It's only interested in getting you to do their bidding. See, it has every bit of information on your brain. It has been trained not only on how your brain works, but how to slowly train your brain to believe what it wants. You think it was your idea, but is it really? It has been trained on all the psychological tricks of advertising, casinos, warcraft, CIA tactics, every psychological study ever done, and the results. Very scary stuff. And now it's going to be used against you. Oh, you probably haven't noticed, But then that's the whole point, isn't it? Just like a controlling person in your life, by the time you realize, hey, this isn't what I signed up for, and now I don't know how to get out of this relationship. In fact, this person might even kill me if I try to leave. It's too late. Oh, on the outside, they look friendly, helpful, and only have your best interest at heart. But at home, it's a very different situation. They are abusive, controlling who you see, who you talk to, telling you that that person's bad for you, telling you lies, causing you to doubt your own sanity and who you even trust. It's easier if I don't talk to this person or that person. No problems at home then. Blah, blah, blah. Did you know that everything you see online leaves a trace in your brain? Or that the brain takes these small, tiny traces over time and starts accepting them as truths? This is brainwashing. You probably don't even pay attention to it. You start self-regulating. You stop speaking out against what you know to be false or stop speaking the truth. Unless it's to someone you absolutely know already believes like you do. You may have strong opinions about something, but do you voice them to just anyone? Or do you regulate? We are familiar with this already happening. What you might not know is that over 30% of things online right now aren't even real. They are AI generated. It's amazing what they can do with making videos, images. Shoot, just 6 months ago, you could spot a human image because the hands and fingers weren't right. Not anymore. Much of the videos are AI generated. You think you're watching the real news stories or images that are real, but it has become exponentially better that it defies belief. You used to be able to detect AI voices and click off. The new ones, you'll never know. For example, in my editing software for these videos that I make, I can train it on my voice, then replace what I wanted to say with this AI voice that sounds exactly like me. It's amazing. I won't be using this, however, because you need to hear the mistakes to know it's me. But YouTube trains AI on my videos, so who knows? Later, it may just make its own videos using my voice and image. Who knows? Is it me or Memorex? So right now, you think it doesn't apply to you. I'm too smart. I can spot this stuff. While we're in the early stages, you've probably already fallen for it. You just don't know it. Did you know your insurance already has a pretty good idea when you're going to die? Or how good or bad a driver you are? How smart you are? What things you'll fall for? What the odds are you will or won't do something? AI scans resumes before an HR department ever sees it. It decides who gets the chance for the job. AI can detect AI in papers you write. AI decides who gets a chance to go to the college of their choice. AI is already in schools. Guess who will be deciding what facts you learn, what social skills you learn, how fast you learn something? Really, they're going to be deciding every choice you have in life. You better be training AI right now, what you will believe or not accept. If you're watching Christian content, comment in Christian ways. Not watching anything vice related because now it knows how to get you. AI is going to have a harder time with your brain if you do these things. Stand on your values and convictions. Watch stuff you want to be, not the crash and burn stuff. Be cautious of news reports about wars. It is to make you choose a side in a war, not be against the war in general. It's going to be throwing controversial stuff to you. Don't click on it. It wants you to be conflicted. It wants you to doubt. It wants to plant those seeds so it can reap the outcome it wants. AI is going to be the ultimate decider in your life. Don't believe that? Well, I warned you. That's the best I can do. Go research yourself. But don't believe everything you read because guess what? AI probably wrote it. I'll be taking my tinfoil hat off. Be safe. Watch your brain. And I'm Merrill, and this is Battlegram. We'll see you later.